Hey guys, I want to talk to you a little bit today about another cold approach situation that I was able to play a part in this morning. I'm going to keep hitting this stuff and just keep talking about it because there's so many little tidbits and pieces that come out of each one of these encounters, and I want to capture that and share that with you as much as possible because I think there's learning in every single one of these situations, for myself included. No matter how many times I've done this, I still pick up a little bit of something or still develop a little bit of I don't know if you want to say proficiency, or I would just say comfort and naturalness to be able to do this on a regular basis. And by the way, that right there is something that I wanted to communicate and pass on to you, that I'm not advocating that you should just be out there like talking to every single person, like just cause. Like, you don't want to be one of those people that's just completely non-selective and you're just kind of playing the numbers game and you're going for just whatever. I don't think that puts good energy out there in the world. But what I am saying is, when you're walking around there, observe your surroundings, observe the women that pass you by. If you get a good read, because obviously you probably like the way she looks, but if you see things about her body language, like maybe she has particular features that you do or do not like, maybe she's got a bunch of tattoos, maybe she's got dyed hair, maybe she's in shape, maybe she's out of shape, maybe she wears weird jewelry, maybe she's got a ring on her finger, maybe she's shopping for something that disgusts you, like who the hell knows like what it is. But those are all very personal things. Those are up to you to ration through. But I think every one of us is, as men especially, but sure, the women out there, like when you scan your surroundings and you catch somebody that catches your attention, there's particular things about them that draw you in. So if you do find yourself in the midst of one of those people and you feel the need to go talk to them, which I advocate, then don't let an opportunity pass you by, kind of thing. So anyway, what I was starting to say with that is just this whole business about, there is a lot to be said for repetition. Just like any other skill that you do in life, like you have to keep practicing it. You have to keep current at it. You have to keep doing it on a regular basis. I know that sounds a little bit like, that might come off as creepy to some people, but I'll tell you what, if you're a man out there and you want to get good at this stuff and stay good at this stuff, you're going to have to keep doing this to get better at it. And if you're somebody out there, maybe a woman or another man that might be listening to this that's judgmental of that, then I put you up to it. And I challenge you to go out and try to talk to strangers and be really good at it without continuously practicing it and without developing, and see how awkward you are. So by the way, guys, like, don't let anybody make you feel bad for going out and practicing this stuff. This is your God-given right as a human being. Like, you can go up and talk to whoever you want. Obviously, they have no obligation to give you anything or do anything for you or give you the time of day. Of course not. But hey, like, don't feel bad about getting practice in and trying to talk to people. There's nothing wrong with that. I think it's part of being a mature individual. I think it is part of becoming a man, or being a better man, let's say, that you develop the ability to do these things. So with that said, like, I really do try to put myself up to this and do it whenever I find somebody that, like I described in the beginning of the talk, there is a woman that I perceive like might have the building blocks that, like, I'm looking for somebody that I'd want to have romantically in my life. And maybe who knows? I mean, of course it's hard to suppose that anybody that you meet as a stranger off the street is going to be somebody that's going to be relationship material. You have no idea, but you know what? We're humans, we're people. You have an ability to scan things. You have an ability to sense energy, and those are all those initial things that you should tune into before you make your approach. So just to tell you my little story about the day-to-day, today was a good example and a success, let's say, where I had taken a walk downtown to go have a cup of coffee and just walk through this little farmer's market that they put on every Sunday morning. And I was in line at the coffee shop, and there was a girl that was 2 spots ahead of me. And in that moment, I was thinking to myself, well, this would be really awkward and unnatural to just try to like hop the line, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not a proponent of going and doing jumping jacks and somersaults, like trying to get yourself in front of a woman. I just say, hey, observe the situation. If you get a break in the action, or if you get a good moment that you can do this in a natural way, that's my style. That's what I'm more comfortable with. I think that generally has yielded better results than going up and like startling somebody that might not have even seen you before. And by the way, one little small, like talking about nugget things. I mean, I think in as much as you can possibly do this, you always want to try to approach a woman from the front. So you don't just want to like walk up behind her and tap her on the shoulder. You can do that, but it's like, think about the shock value of that. I mean, if somebody were to do that to you, you turn around, you've got a split second to see like what's going on. It catches people off guard. And I'm not saying that you can't be successful doing this, but I think just given the options, like try to maneuver around so you can approach this person and walk up to them from the front so you don't, of course you're not trying to startle anybody or nothing like that, but a lot of times it gives them a chance to get a glimpse of you, and you'd be surprised. Like if this is one of those other things to tune into. I mean, if you catch a girl taking a glance at you, or you catch her, honestly, like you'll see people checking you out at a certain point. I mean, that's just such a tremendous green light to tune into, and is a good indicator that it's like, yeah, this might be a good person to go up and try to talk to. So always try to pay attention to those things. But back to my story, I'm in line, I'm two steps behind her, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm gonna get through the whole line. She's obviously gonna check out before me, and I'll grab my coffee and just see where things are at. So I of course paid attention to, after she had rang up and got her coffee, she went out, one side of the back door, and I totally lost sight of her, and I just kind of figured like, well, that's that, and who knows, if I see her walking around the street or something like that, I might try to make an attempt to approach her, but I just assumed that the opportunity had passed and the moment was gone. But to my surprise, I bought my coffee, I walked through like the back of this little shop thing, and I went out the rear door that she did as well, and lo and behold, she was sitting on a table by herself outside, just on a nice sunny spot, and she was facing outward, so it was just prime opportunity. And that's like the other thing that I want to communicate to you guys is like, don't underestimate those times when you actually catch an attractive, or at least the woman that you're attracted to, that's by herself. You have to realize what a tremendous leg up you have in that sort of situation when you try to make an approach, versus like, it's actually very hard when you try to approach a girl that's like in a group, or even like with one other friend. It's always like, at least in my experience, a lot of times the friend just totally, it throws a wrench a lot of times in the equation. And it's really funny to watch the way these situations have played out in my eyes, where a lot of times you'll approach and the friend is like, she knows you're trying to communicate with her friend. You're not interested in her. I think there's times that I've noticed some girls are a little bit jealous about that, but this other girl in the picture that sees what's going on, I mean, she just immediately starts, I think a lot of times, assuming things about you, because this is like, you're trying to talk to her friend. She obviously cares about her friend. She starts to act like a guard dog, and she starts to act like a wall, and she starts to, like, really awkwardly, I've found this to be the case more often than not. She'll just start, doing whatever, like, giving you a hard time, why are you here? Like, talking crap about you, like, whatever. I've seen a whole different slew of things that come about from situations like these. But just coming back to the point that I was trying to make, if you have a situation like this where you're able to find a woman who's just all alone, it's a good time to just be able to try to make something happen with no distractions. And once again, I've talked repeatedly about the challenges that exist. Like, even if it's a girl alone in a bar on a Friday night or something like that, you have a moment, it's just so hard to approach it under those circumstances. But think about like the non-threat and like the ease that you can go up and talk to somebody in a situation like this. It's 10:30 on a Sunday morning in broad daylight. There's plenty of other people around. You're in a public place. It's just, you can't get any less threatening than that. And I think that has a lot to do with women's guarded nature in general when they're in places like a bar or a nightclub or something like that. But I mean, like outside the coffee shop, Sunday morning, daylight's out and about. Like I said, I think you get the point. You can't get any more opportune than that. But anyways, as I said, I'm always telling you guys, approach with no other goal other than to just feel her energy out. And that was my mindset here. I was going to just walk up to her and excuse myself and just, I've learned that, if you got nothing better to talk about, there's a few good like go-to sorts of icebreakers that I've found work really well, that people really tend to respond to. And I've talked a lot before in the past about icebreakers that show your hand versus not showing your hand. And I really should go back and make a whole video to talk about this, but hopefully, once again, another little nugget from this story here. If you walk up to a girl and you say something like, wow, you look really beautiful today, and I thought you looked really pretty, I just had to come over here and talk to you. I mean, think about what you're doing right there. You're putting like all your cards on the table. You're telling her that you're attracted to her. You're obviously trying to get her number. You're trying to, do something, make an advance romantically, let's say, and that right there, it can kind of, it puts you in a crappy position. I think it puts her guard up a little bit more. And just when things don't go right, it's more painful, I think, to walk away from those situations where you show your hand, and you don't have to do that. And I always advocate try to approach with something neutral, non-threatening, non-hand showing, like what I'm about to tell you. And that's like I was beginning to say, a really good icebreaker that I found to use is like, hey, excuse me, like, you look familiar, like from somewhere, like I swear, like, did we go to school together, or did you work at this place, or did you used to, any number of things. Like it doesn't really matter. That's just like your way in to open up a conversation in a non-threatening manner. And as I'm starting to say, like, think about that. If things don't go well, and this has certainly played out this way for me in the past, and she's just like not feeling it, and you're getting bad energy, she doesn't want to talk, it's like, oh sorry, yeah, you got a twin out there in the world, okay, well, enjoy your day. And you get to walk away, and you didn't throw anything on the table, you showed no cards. How innocent is that? I mean, it doesn't get any less, let's say that there's no stakes in the game, there's no skin in the game when you approach like something like that. But once again, coming back to this whole like reader energy out kind of thing, I said exactly what I just communicated to you a moment ago there, and she was responsive, she was talking, she smiled, she was like just kind of surprised that I was there. Clearly you could see it in her eyes, and you could just read that energy. It was just the tone of her voice was more receptive and open. And another big key about reading somebody's energy is if they jump out and ask you a question in this sort of circumstance. And that's exactly what happened. Like I opened the discussion as I just described it, and then she had asked me like some question, like after we got out of the way, that we didn't know each other previously, and I thought she looked like somebody I knew. She was like, well, where are you from? Are you from around here? And it just kind of went naturally from there. Like, oh, what are you doing today? Like, how's your day going? What are you up to? Things like that. Just really, really nonchalant. And that was pretty much it. I would say you don't want to overstay your welcome in these situations. I mean, give it a good 3 to 5 minutes, and you'll know if the conversation's rolling, and you'll know if you're getting good energy from her. And I would say that's almost like you want to leave on a high note before the conversation gets stale, because I think that leaves like a little bit of excitement and some mystery on both people's sides, because you're like, hey, we started to have a conversation like this, and I didn't quite get to the bottom of who this person was, or what they're all about, or what they're doing, or any number of things. So there's like this lingering curiosity, I think, on both sides that's like, hey, there's more substance there, that's like something that, like, I don't know, I'm looking forward to trying to speak with this woman again. And like, hopefully in her mind, she's like, wow, who was that guy? Like, that was a neat little conversation we started to have, and I'd like to finish that conversation with him to see what more was going on in his life, and all this kind of stuff. So it's like 3 to 5 minutes, try to leave on a high note, do all of these things that I just talked about in a previous video about shaking her hand firmly. I try to go back and listen to that video if you want more detail on that, but communicates a lot about you as a man, as a person. And then just close it up and just throw it out there and try to get contact information from her, and just say something, once again, non-threatening, like, hey, this is really random, but do you want to grab a cup of coffee or something sometime? Would you be interested in that? And once again, I mean, she's either going to go for it, she's not. She's going to tell you everything you know with the way she reacts in response to that, and she's either going to offer up her contact or she's not. And whatever happens, you walk away, your head held high. I've said this repeatedly now a couple times, like, whether or not that situation goes good, quote unquote, or bad, quote unquote, and in my mind, a situation goes good is you actually walk away with her number, and there's some good vibes going on there. Bad, you don't get her number, you walk away. It's like, in either case, I do truly believe that you get to walk away with your head held high. You haven't like thrown all your cards on the table. You haven't embarrassed yourself. You haven't said anything like weird or creepy, I don't think. Like, you've bolstered her, ego a little bit, which I'm not a proponent of just going out and doling out, free attention to women just for the sake of doing that. But it's like, you know what? From one human to another, people respond well to this stuff. That makes people feel good on the inside. It's like, great. Like, she can go on about her day, like, feeling good that somebody had the guts to approach her, and that she was coming off as attractive enough to the point where a complete stranger would want to walk up and talk to her. And I don't care what anybody says. Like, I can still feel good about those sorts of situations when I walk away from them, even if I don't, have a quote unquote success, like get her number, like never see this person again. It's fine. So that was the situation for today, guys. That's a lot of data points in there. I hope you made it to the end of the video. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We'll talk again soon.